If you've been fortunate enough to live a decade and another decade and another decade, in fact, just several decades, you know that over time you age. And of course, no one really wants to be unattractive or ugly or anything like that. So I just wanted to talk to you today about some things that you can do to stay attractive as you age. And I want to clarify that these are not going to be trendy topics or anything like that. I'm really going to be sticking to some fundamentals of looking great as you age. So I want to make sure that we keep things interesting here. Make sure that you stick around and listen to everything because each one of these points are going to be important and you need to hear all of it. Now, with that said, I am Mark Johnson, the founder of Bounce Pep, bringing you a fit and flourishing future. I'm also the youngest son of Bill Johnson. So happy to have you here. I want you to go to www.bouncepep.com. If you scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, you'll see an email subscriber sign up. So go ahead and just subscribe to our email and you can stay in the loop. Now, with all that said, I know what you're here for. You want to know how you can keep looking your best as you age. So we're going to jump in. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, this is not going to be about trends and fads or anything like that. I want to make sure that we keep this conversation fundamental. Now, let me just tell you a little bit about me. I am not a large man by any stretch of the imagination. If you saw me in person, you would just immediately think, oh, okay, he's a little guy because I'm a little guy. So I'm not physically gifted. I have never considered myself to be like especially physically attractive or anything like that. But the one thing that I will say is that I have never been one to just let myself go. And I do believe that it's important, whether it's me or you, to work with what we've got. Some of us are just born looking very, very good. Like some of us are just naturally very, very attractive. Now, of course, you can squander great looks just because you're born beautiful or born extremely handsome doesn't mean that it stays that way if you don't take care of yourself, right? So you don't want to squander your good looks. But you know, most of us are not most of us don't have superstar looks right out of the box, okay? And so that means that we have to work with what we have. And a lot of times you'd be surprised, you have more to work with than you realize. It's really all about caring about how you carry yourself, okay? So this is the first thing I want you to understand is that, how attractive you look is largely under your control. I mean, you can't, the face that you were born with is the face that you were born with. I know that some people will have all kinds of surgeries and everything to try to just drastically change the appearance of their face. But I'm assuming you're not into that. I'm talking to people here who just want to understand the basics, the fundamentals of looking attractive, looking good forever, okay? And the other point I want to make is that this is relative. Don't don't get caught up in the idea of looking like you did like 25 years ago. Okay, let's not get ridiculous here. What you want to do, you want to look really, really good for your age. Okay, you want to look really, really good for your age. It's silly for a 50-year-old man or a 60-year-old woman to be thinking, well, I want to look like I did when I was 25 or 30. That's just silliness. Okay. So understand that it's all relative. Okay. You want to look great for your age. So because we're not going to be talking about trends and fads and all that kind of stuff, I just want to tell you off the bat that this is not going to be about how you dress. It's not going to be about putting on makeup or cosmetic enhancement procedures such as plastic. So it's not going to be about any of that, okay? Because none of that is fundamental to how you look. Of course, you can dress yourself up to make yourself look a little bit better, but that's not fundamental to how good you look, okay? So let's focus on the fundamentals. The very first one is simply how well you eat. And I want to encourage you to eat well. Now, when I say eat well, what I mean is uh, you got to cut down on the unhealthy snacks just laden with salt and sugar, ultra processed things like the potato chips and the pretzels and the donuts everywhere, and all kind of candy and pastries. Now, I'm not saying that you have to cut that stuff completely out. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying is uh, just cut back. It's important that you don't get carried away eating a lot of junk food, and that includes fast foods and soft drinks. You really have to cut back on that because all of that, you know, saturated fat and all of that sugar and high salt is going to age you. It's going to be terrible for your skin, okay? And it's really going to affect your energy levels in a negative way. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're eating well. So what I do is I try to eat as much as possible whole, fresh foods that are prepared in a real kitchen. Okay, I'm not. I don't personally care much for fast food. I really prefer real food prepared in a kitchen, and I really like, I like home cooked meals with fresh ingredients, and I like, you know, fresh meat and fish and chicken and fresh vegetables. When I'm snacking, I snack a lot on fresh fruit and nuts, like on a regular basis. I'm eating fresh fruit and nuts. And this is not to say that I never eat junk food because sometimes, yeah, every once in a while, yeah, I want to have some potato chips or something like that. But I'm not eating that stuff every day. That's what I'm saying. And I'm not eating it in large quantities. So the first thing is just watch what you eat and eat well. If you've made it this far in your life, you probably are making pretty decent money. I hope that you're rich. I do. I like to see people doing well. And if you're making pretty good money, certainly if you're rich, you can afford to eat food that is healthy and that is going to extend your life. Okay. So that's the first thing. Eat well. Okay. The second thing is this, um, get in shape. So, first of all, if you're not following this channel, if you haven't registered, go ahead and register and subscribe to this channel. Okay. And I want you to be a subscriber. But if you have been watching this channel for a while, you know that I'm always talking about being in great shape. Okay. And there are several reasons for this. And I think they become more important as we age because a lot of times, you take your physical robustness for granted when you're young, but you can't do that. As you start to get into your 40s and 50s, you start to really hit middle age. You can't just take that for granted anymore. You have to work on it. You have to work on it in order to make sure that everything, on your body stays in its proper place and is looking good, right? And so keeping yourself in great shape is another fundamental building block of staying attractive forever. Okay. So what are we talking about here? I'll just tell you what I do. When I go to the gym, I am mainly lifting weights. That's mainly what I do at the gym. Okay. So I'm working on legs, I'm working on arms, I'm working on core, I'm working on shoulders, chest, back. I go through all the muscle groups, and that's what I do. But when I go to the gym, I see people in the gym doing all kinds of things. Some people don't touch weights at all. Some people are in there, stretching, or they're, on the machine, on like the bicycles or the treadmills or something, mainly doing more aerobic type exercises. Some people are in the classes. They have a lot of classes at the gym. And so my point is to say that you don't have to do what I do. I recommend what I do because I believe in staying strong, but you don't have to do what I do, but just do something to keep yourself in shape. So there are a few reasons why this is important. Number one is just your posture. Okay. You want to look good as you age. Well, your posture is going to play a huge part in that. If you're all slumped over and slouched and your head is lurched forward like that, and your shoulders, instead of being back like this, are kind of slumping forward now, and you got a bend in your knees, stuff like that, that's poor posture, and you just look older. Okay, if you allow yourself to get to that point. So you want to be working out to increase your physical robustness so that it's easy to hold yourself up. Keeping yourself strong makes it easy to hold yourself up. It literally physically makes it easy to hold yourself up and maintain good posture. If you just allow yourself to wither and get weak, it's going to be hard to maintain great posture. The next thing is this: your overall physique. Look, there's no getting around this. The nicer your physique is, the more attractive you're going to look. This doesn't matter whether you're in your teens or your 20s or your 60s or 70s. The nicer your physique is, the more attractive you will appear. It's just that simple. Okay. Physique is, it may not be your goal to look like a bodybuilder, and that's fine. Okay. But you do want to have a, a, a nice, robust physique that projects health and like vitality. Okay. And that definitely makes you more attractive. Anytime you see someone, especially someone who's older, who has a really nice physique, it's impressive. Especially, people look at that and they say, wow, this man or this woman, they're keeping it together pretty well. They're maybe in their 50s or 60s or whatever, but they are really, really keeping it together really nicely, right? And this is what people think when they see a great physique on a more mature person, okay? So keep your physique in order, okay? I recommend lifting weights because, of course, that's going to add, it's going to add a little bit of bulk, and it's going to, of course, keep your muscles strong, keep your bones strong. Going back to that thing about posture that I mentioned earlier, keeping your bones strong is very, very important because if you got weak bones, it's going to be hard to maintain good posture. Okay, but lifting weights, like what I do, helps you to just keep your muscles strong, build new muscle, build stronger muscle, and most certainly keep your bones strong. Okay, so the other thing is this: stride. Okay, stride, just how you walk. Um, make it a point to walk upright. Make it a point to keep your stride long. If your stride is short, there's no getting around it. The shorter your stride gets, the older you look, and the less attractive you look. It is what it is. Okay, so you want to have a nice long stride, and in order to have a nice long stride, you need to have some flexibility. Okay, and flexibility therefore allows better mobility. And again, if you're building strength, if you're training with weights, then you're going to have the strength and the endurance to walk for long distances, to climb. Okay, and so that's going to improve your stride. Now, after the stride, the other thing about staying in shape is just, I want to say, energy. So understand this: energy is not something that you can literally physically see, but it is perceivable. Okay. And when you keep yourself in great shape, your energy levels are going to rise. Okay. And an energetic person is always going to be more attractive than a person who just looks tired and worn out. It is what it is. You want to have high energy levels. Okay. So this again is one of the fundamentals of staying attractive as you age. High energy levels. And you can't have high energy levels if your lifestyle is kind of sedentary, if you're just lounging around all the time, if you always are feeling fatigued, then what that means is that you need to get up and move more, exercise more, go and work out and raise your energy levels, okay, to break out of that cycle of fatigue. And that's going to keep you looking great forever. Now we're getting down to the last two things that I want to mention about looking great forever, okay, and staying attractive as you age. The next one is this: lower your stress levels. Stop worrying about everything. Look, you've been here a while now. You've seen a lot. You've done a lot. Like, you've been there and done that in a lot of ways. You should not still be worrying about everything. So calm down, get a grip, control your stress levels. Okay. I just talked about working out. Working out is one of the most effective ways that I find for controlling my stress levels. Okay. But my general point is stop worrying about everything. I mean, if you're worrying about everything all the time, your cortisol levels are just through the roof. You're stressed out. It's gonna age you. It's gonna make you physically and mentally tired. And you're not going to look good if you're stressed out. You're just physically just you've had it. You're mentally just going haywire because you're worried about everything. So make sure that you deal with your stress in a healthy way. Look, everybody has stress. Everybody has stressors in their life, but how you deal with it matters. And being cognizant of the risks of like chronic high stress and just letting every little thing get on your nerves, letting every little thing be a trigger where you just blow up or where you just start worrying and you feel anxious about everything. This is going to be terrible for how you look. Like, you will literally look less attractive if you're worried and stressed out all the time. Okay. So find a healthy a coping mechanism, a healthy outlet, so that you can manage your stress effectively. I recommend working out, keeping yourself in great shape. That is a wonderful methodology for keeping your stress levels in check and also just keeping yourself grounded. Okay. So don't let those cortisol levels get out of control. And finally, now this is something that I have been focusing on getting better at because I often don't pay enough attention to it, but I'm over time I've slowly become more aware of how important this is, and it is getting enough sleep. I want to encourage you to rest well. Okay? Rest well. Your body needs you to sleep so that it can rest and recover. It can rebuild. You know, your body releases human growth hormone while you're sleeping. So especially if you're doing something like working out and trying to build or maintain muscle, you need that time for your body to recoup and recover so that you can maintain your muscle mass, okay? Maintain your strength, maintain your vitality. But make sure that you sleep enough. Now, for me, that looks like I need to have, if I get less than 5 hours of sleep, then the next day I'm gonna be in trouble. Like I'm just gonna be feeling sluggish all day long. and I know it. And so this is why I always try to make sure that I get a bare minimum of 5 hours per sleep. But 5 hours per sleep is still not enough. What I like to get is 7 or 8 hours of sleep. If I can get 7 or 8 hours of sleep, then I'm going to be feeling pretty good that next day. Now, it's a little different for all of us, but my general point stands. Make sure that you get enough sleep, because over time, if you're not getting enough sleep, and this is happening, it's happening often, then you're definitely going to age yourself more, because your body just is not getting the time that it needs to recuperate and recover from all of the stresses of the previous day. Your body needs time to relax. Your brain also needs time to process all the information that you have been taking in. Your brain is taking in a lot of visual cues, a lot of information all the time. And so when you're sleeping, it's kind of uh, uh, rejuvenating, cells inside of your brain. It's kind of organizing memories. And there a lot of maintenance work is going on inside of your brain as you sleep. And so you need time in order for all of that to work well. And so the next day you get up, you feel energized, you feel ready to go, and you don't feel like you're dragging this heavy weight over from the previous day. That's what I feel like when I don't get enough sleep. It feels like I'm dragging like a heavy boulder, from the previous day into this new day, and it just messes up the entire day in terms of my energy levels. So again, this is something that I personally am working on doing better. So I want to encourage you to do the same if you're not already getting enough sleep. So those are my fundamentals, okay, for staying attractive as I age. I think they'll probably work for you because again, they're just fundamentals, okay? These are things that are going to work pretty much across the board for everybody. Now, you can of course put on, if you want to put on some makeup, uh, to help you out, that always works. Guys, if you want to put on a nice outfit, that always helps. But those are not the fundamentals. Okay, those are not the fundamentals of staying attractive as you age. The fundamentals all come down to the work that you're putting in on a regular basis, and the discipline, the habits that you maintain to keep yourself looking good all the time. So again, take it from me. I'm not a guy I don't have movie star looks, okay? But I try to maximize, what I do have. What little bit I do have, I try to maximize. Look, if you don't look like a movie star, it's okay. It's okay. Work with what you've got. Maximize what you have got. Okay. So I want you to go to www.bouncepep.com, subscribe to our email list, and stay in the loop. You can also check out the Passion and Purpose Project. That's a project that we offer here in Japan. It's basically a whole experience over 3 days and 4 nights. And if you want to know more about that, of course, go to www.bouncepep.com. I think you'll like what you see. So I'm going to sign off here. I want you to take this with you, and I'll talk to you next time.